At 62, I never pictured myself gripping the steering wheel at 11 p.m., navigating unfamiliar streets with my heart hammering against my ribs. The tremor in my hands wasn't just from the cold Atlanta night, it was the weight of a truth I wasn't ready to face. 3 hours earlier, I had driven past the towering corporate building where my husband, Elijah Vance, had dedicated 25 years of his life. The windows were dark, the parking lot deserted, and a sign on the glass door declared the office closed for renovations starting at 6 p.m. My first thought was that I'd made a mistake, pulled up to the wrong address. But there it was, the company's polished logo glinting mockingly in the moonlight. I dialed Elijah's number, my fingers unsteady. "How's the project going, love?" I asked, forcing my voice to stay light, the way a devoted wife of 40 years would. His response was quick, smooth, too perfect. "Swamped here, Simone. Tokyo projects got us all tied up. Don't wait up, sweetheart." Then I heard it, a faint moan, a stifled giggle, the unmistakable cadence of intimacy I thought belonged only to us. My stomach churned, but my mind snapped awake, sharp and unforgiving. The family GPS app, installed after Elijah's minor car accident last year, became my compass. The blinking blue dot of his Mercedes-Benz S-Class led me to an upscale neighborhood 40 minutes from our home, a place we'd never explored together. Each mile stripped away a layer of the life I thought I knew, exposing something raw and jagged beneath. The neighborhood was pristine craftsman homes with manicured lawns, antique streetlights casting a warm glow. Elijah's car sat in front of a cobalt blue two-story house, hydrangeas blooming on the porch, a wooden swing swaying gently. A light glowed on the second floor, shadows dancing behind lace curtains. I parked 3 houses down, my mind struggling to piece together a puzzle that refused to fit. This wasn't a colleague's house, a hotel, or a seedy apartment. It was a home, complete with a sunflower-painted mailbox and a welcome mat proclaiming, "The Stanton family." Then I saw her. Not the young mistress I'd feared, but a woman in her mid-40s glancing out the window. Her hair was in a messy bun, and she wore a blue silk robe identical to the one Elijah gave me for our last anniversary, though mine was burgundy. Her satisfied expression cut deeper than any overt display of passion. My phone buzzed with a text from Elijah, "Leaving the office now, love. Don't wait up. Grab dinner without me." The lie was so bold it almost made me laugh, almost. It was 11:43 p.m. How many nights had I eaten alone, slept alone, lived alone while he built this secret life? A boy appeared at the window, about 10 years old, with Elijah's dark, wavy hair and that familiar head tilt. The woman hugged him, and they vanished, likely to bed, part of a routine that didn't include me. "My husband," I whispered, the words foreign, hollow. 40 years of marriage, 2 grown children, 3 grandchildren, an entire life built on what? Lies? Half-truths? A performance worthy of an Oscar? The pain hit, sharp and physical, like a heart attack. I woke at 5:47 a.m., neck stiff, eyes swollen, the blue house still standing, proof it wasn't a dream. Elijah's car was gone. I drove home on autopilot, the route etched into my bones after decades in the same city. As I pulled into our driveway, Elijah walked through the front door, briefcase in one hand, a box of Boston cream donuts, my favorite, in the other. "Morning, love," he said, kissing my cheek with practiced ease. "I know I shouldn't have worked all night, but these international projects are brutal." His performance was flawless. If I hadn't seen the blue house, I'd have believed him. I wondered how long he'd been honing this act. "How thoughtful," I said, my voice steady, surprising even myself. "Why don't you shower?" "I'll make coffee." As the shower ran, I rifled through his briefcase, my years as the discreet wife now a weapon. Amid the usual documents, I found a second phone hidden in a secret compartment. The screen showed missed calls from home and a text. "Daddy, don't forget my soccer game Saturday. Mommy says you promised." "Love, Jalen." Another woman called Mommy. Another son. The puzzle pieces snapped into place. The frequent business trips, the weekend work, the calls taken in the yard, the credit card charges that never added up. I hadn't been stupid. I'd been trusting, a wife who chose to believe because the alternative was unimaginable. Memories flooded back with cruel clarity, a jeweler's receipt 15 years ago, dismissed as a gift for his boss's secretary, our daughter Amara at 15, mentioning seeing her dad at a mall with a woman and a child. I'd brushed it off. The boy in the window would be about 10 now. The math was merciless. When Elijah emerged, smelling of the cologne I'd bought him every Christmas, I had coffee poured and donuts plated. "Sleep well?" he asked, biting into a pastry while scanning his iPad. "Like always," I lied, the words easier than I'd expected. "And you? Any rest at the office?" "Snoozed on the conference room sofa," he said without looking up. Daryl was snoring like a bear next door. Daryl, his supposed late-night work partner, had retired 6 months ago. The irony twisted my gut. "Simone, you look pale," he said, touching my forehead with concern that seemed real. I nodded, brushing it off, but the nausea lingered. 3 days later, I returned to the blue house, transformed. Jeans, a hooded sweatshirt, sunglasses, and a baseball cap, all bought with cash. The old Simone had died in that car 3 nights ago. I arrived at 2 p.m., confirming Elijah was at his real office via his direct line. The neighborhood was quiet, save for a distant dog barking. I parked closer this time, needing to see, to understand. At 2030, the woman, Candace, emerged with a baby in a front carrier, no more than 6 months old. My heart stopped. The betrayal wasn't just a decade old. It was ongoing, layered with new life. I followed her on foot, keeping my distance, pretending to check my phone. She entered a cozy coffee shop with sidewalk tables and hanging plants. I sat far away, ordering a coffee I wouldn't drink. She met 2 women, both with babies, chatting about motherhood's mundane struggles. Then one said, "Candace, you're so lucky, Marcus is so involved." Not all husbands are that dedicated. Marcus. My Elijah was Marcus in this life. Candace smiled, adjusting the baby. His work schedule's tough, 3 or 4 days away sometimes, but he makes up for it. He's a wonderful father. Those 3 or 4 days were when he returned to me, to our life, to our grown children. We were shifts in his meticulously planned double life. "And how's Jalen with the new baby?" another woman asked. "Jealous at first," Candace said. "But Marcus has been incredible. He bought him a new baseball glove, and they spend Saturday afternoons together while I rest with the baby." Saturday afternoons, Elijah's work seminars. Another piece clicked into place. As I passed her table, I glimpsed her phone, a family photo on a Turks and Caicos beach. Elijah, tanned and smiling, carried Jalen on his shoulders while a pregnant Candace beamed beside him. I recognized the resort from his corporate retreat last year. I stumbled out, my legs weak. At a nearby park, I heard his voice, "That's it, champ. Kick harder." Elijah, who was supposedly in a meeting with Japanese investors, was coaching a youth soccer team. Jalen ran to him, their smiles identical. I watched for 20 minutes, seeing the father I remembered with our children, but with a vibrancy that felt foreign. This wasn't an act. This was Elijah in his element, a father, a husband, a man I no longer knew. My phone rang. It was him. "Hey, love. Meeting finished early. Want me to grab dinner?" I glanced across the park where he was still coaching. "That'd be perfect, darling." "Bring some Napa Valley Cabernet. I know the one. I love you, Simone." "I love you too," I said, the words bitter ash. That night, as Elijah slept soundly, I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. 62 years old, 40 of them given to a man who'd crafted a double life with surgical precision. Silent tears gave way to sobs I muffled with a towel. I wasn't just grieving the betrayal, I was grieving the woman I'd been. Simone, the artist who'd traded Paris for motherhood, brushes for diapers, dreams for Elijah's promises. The next day, I climbed to the attic, unearthing dust-covered art supplies and sketches that whispered of a talent abandoned. I found photos, our wedding, Elijah's tears at Amara's birth, Jamal's first steps. Real moments, or so I'd thought. When had the lies begun? My phone rang. Amara. Mom, you okay? You've been weird lately. I'm fine, honey. Just tired. Sure? I can come by. The kids miss Grandma. Sunday's better, I lied. Elijah had golf with clients then, likely time at the Blue House. Bank statements revealed more, transfers to unknown accounts, purchases at unfamiliar stores, medical expenses that didn't match our records. Elijah was funding 2 lives. Tuition for a private academy, violin lessons for Jalen, hospital bills for the baby born at the same hospital as our children. The audacity was staggering. I hired a private investigator, Agent Sterling, recommended by a friend. I need everything, I told him. How long? How did it start? Are you sure? He asked, his voice heavy with experience. Yes, I said, though doubt gnawed at me. A week later, Sterling arrived with a folder. This won't be easy, Mrs. Vance, he warned. I nodded, hands shaking as I opened it. A marriage certificate, Marcus Stanton wed Candace Stanton 12 years ago. Not an affair, a second marriage. This is illegal, I stammered. Technically, yes, Sterling said. He used false documents, a perfect alternate identity. Elijah Vance and Marcus Stanton are legally 2 people. It's professional work. Photos followed. Elijah and Candace's beach wedding. Jalen's birth certificate, the baby Sky born 7 months ago. Properties under Marcus's name, the Blue House, a Miami condo, a Smoky Mountains cabin, all paid with my mother's inheritance. Elijah had stolen my legacy to fund his lies. There's more, Sterling said. Candace doesn't know about you. To her, Elijah's first wife, Simone, died in a car accident 15 years ago. I was dead in his other narrative. The betrayal was complete. Candace met Elijah during his knee surgery when I was caring for my dying mother. She got pregnant soon after, and Elijah chose to maintain both lives, perhaps for the children, the money, or because he could. He managed $3 million in assets across both identities, my inheritance fueling his deception. I vomited until my stomach was empty, Sterling waiting patiently. What do you want to do? He asked. I need time, and more on his finances, every account, every cent. Are you considering divorce? Justice, I said, my voice cold. I checked into a hotel, telling Elijah I was visiting my sister. In that sterile room, surrounded by Sterling's files, I decided I wouldn't be a victim. I'd dismantle Elijah's lies with precision, not rage. I called Jamal, my son, a corporate lawyer. I need your help professionally. He arrived at my hotel, face shifting from worry to rage as I showed him the evidence. I'll destroy him, he said. Bigamy, fraud, tax evasion, forgery. Not jail, I said. I want him to lose everything and live to see it. Jamal's eyes gleamed with respect. What's the plan? It was intricate, requiring patience and a cruelty I hadn't known I possessed. Jamal refined the legal aspects, Amara would handle the media, and I recruited Patricia, Elijah's sister. Mom always loved you more, she said, granting access to her mother's safe deposit box, where I found Elijah's forged will, a federal crime. A second investigator uncovered Elijah's tax evasion and insider trading. Amara seeded social media with questions about Marcus Stanton's resemblance to Elijah Vance. The financial investigator found a $5 million Cayman Islands account, our money hidden for his escape. I returned home, playing the perfect wife. Elijah noticed nothing, his arrogance blinding him. You're radiant, he said one morning, hugging me. What's changed? I decided to value what we have, I lied. Life's short, don't you think? Our 40th anniversary was the stage. Elijah reserved the Gilded Lyre, an opulent restaurant inviting 50 guests, business partners, friends, family. I wore a blood-red dress, diamonds from my mother's estate, makeup a mask of war. Elijah, in his navy suit, was the picture of success and fidelity. "You're spectacular," he whispered, his hand on my shoulder. "You still take my breath away." "You're not so bad yourself," I said, my smile honed to perfection. Dinner was lavish oysters, Dom Perignon, Belgian chocolate. Elijah stood at 9030, tapping his glass. 40 years ago, I met Simone, my best friend, my anchor, he said, voice trembling. He offered a diamond eternity band, proposing to renew our vows. Applause erupted. "My turn," I said, standing as the clapping faded. 40 years is time enough to know every secret, every lie. I played a recording of Elijah's voice. "Candace, my love," I told Simone. "I'm at a conference. She's blindly trusting." It's pathetic how easy it is. His glass shattered on the floor. Photos flashed on the screen. His other wedding, Jalen's birth certificate, family Christmases, Sky's ultrasound. Gasps filled the room. 40 years with a bigamist, a liar, a criminal, I said, circling him. "Bigamy is a felony, Elijah," he stammered, pleading. Jamal blocked him. "The IRS has your Cayman's account. The prosecutor has your fraudulent contracts." Amara took the microphone. "My father betrayed us all. The truth had to be public." I handed Elijah divorce papers. "Sign or face prison." Patricia revealed his forged will. Defeated, he signed, tears staining the paper. By morning, the story was everywhere. Headlines, viral photos, memes. Reporters swarmed. At 2 p.m., Jamal gave a press conference detailing Elijah's crimes. By noon, his firm fired him. By evening, Candace learned the truth, her world collapsing as mine had. I moved into a condo, my art supplies unpacked. I started painting again, colors spilling like the truths I'd uncovered. Elijah tried to reach me, but I blocked him. Candace called once, apologizing, unaware of my existence. I pitied her, but my focus was on rebuilding. Jamal and Amara ensured every asset was reclaimed. The IRS seized Elijah's accounts. He faced charges but avoided prison, stripped of wealth and reputation. I saw him once, months later, at a cafe. He looked older, broken. "Simone, I'm sorry," he said. "Sorry isn't enough," I replied, walking away. I was no longer just Simone the wife. I was Simone, the artist, the survivor, the woman who'd torn down a house of lies and built a new one from its ruins. That morning, Elijah's company released a bombshell statement. Elijah Vance was immediately suspended from all responsibilities due to an internal probe into serious ethical breaches and potential corporate fraud. In a candid interview, his business partner, Devin Harris, didn't mince words. "We're working closely with law enforcement. If these accusations hold, Elijah didn't just deceive his family, he shattered the trust of his colleagues, staff, and clients." At 3:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. It was Candace, her voice brittle, like shards of broken crystal. "Is it true?" she asked, cutting straight to the point. "You're Simone Vance, his only legal wife," I replied evenly, offering neither cruelty nor solace. "I never left, Candace. He erased me from his life to build one with you. I'm sorry, you're a victim here too." Her sobs broke through. "The kids, Jalen worships him. The baby, how do I tell them their world is a lie?" I admitted I had no answers. Some wounds are too deep for words. "But kids are strong. With support, therapy, and love, they'll heal. Did you know about us?" she pressed. "How long?" 2 months, I said. 2 months of facing the truth after 40 years of deception. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I'll lose everything. The house, the accounts, all in his name. I gave up my career for Jalen because he demanded it." It was another layer of Elijah's control, leaving Candace utterly dependent. "Give me your details," I found myself saying. "My lawyer will reach out. You and the kids will be financially secure." "You're not to blame for his crimes." "Why help me?" she asked, bewildered. "Because punishing Elijah doesn't mean punishing his innocent children," I replied. They didn't choose this lie. The next day, the IRS descended like a storm. Federal agents raided Elijah's office, our home, and the Blue House, seizing documents, computers, and even his prized luxury watch collection. The investigation uncovered a 15-year web of tax evasion, offshore accounts, shell corporations, and fraudulent invoices so complex it took 20 forensic accountants to untangle. My lawyer Jamal handled the legal fallout with ruthless precision. Leveraging bigamy laws, which nullified any financial claims by Elijah's second spouse, he transferred our $2 million home, 3 investment properties, and stock portfolio solely to me. A week later, he handed me a check for $3.7 million from a Cayman Islands account. "The rest is tied up in his schemes," he said. "It might take years to recover, if ever." Patricia, Elijah's sister, visited me, her face etched with the weight of family disgrace. "Mom always suspected Elijah was hiding something," she confessed. "Before she passed, she told me to protect you when the truth surfaced." I asked about him, hating my lingering care. "He's broken," she said bluntly. "Candace kicked him out. No hotel will take him. His face is plastered on the news. He's holed up in a roadside extended stay, paying cash from what little hasn't been frozen. His friends have cut him off. He's an outcast." The jurors' faces shifted from empathy to shock. Prosecutor Aaron Mitchell, sharp and relentless, asked, "Did you ever suspect his infidelity over those 12 years?" I admitted to fleeting doubts, odd absences, minor inconsistencies, but Elijah was a master of manipulation, spinning tales so convincing I felt foolish for questioning him. "What led you to the truth?" he asked. I paused. First denial, then a pain so raw it nearly broke me, then cold, calculated anger, and finally, resolve. Resolve that 40 years of lies wouldn't define my future. The grand jury's verdict was unanimous: charges for bigamy, tax fraud, document forgery, and conspiracy. Elijah faced up to 20 years. A month later, he called from jail, his voice frail and unfamiliar. "Why, Simone?" "Why not let me explain privately?" "Explain what?" I shot back. "How you accidentally lived a double life for 12 years? Mistakenly married another woman? Unintentionally has had 2 more kids?" He stammered, "Candace got pregnant. I couldn't abandon her." "But you abandoned me every day for 12 years, I said. "I loved you, Simone. Always." "No," I replied, my voice steady. "You loved a version of me that fit your perfect lie. You never loved the real Simone with her own dreams. You made me a prop in your story." "What about my kids?" he pleaded. "Candace and I have an agreement," I said. "They'll be supported from your seized assets. They won't pay for your crimes." "You're talking to Candace?" he asked, stunned. "Sometimes victims of the same betrayal find common ground," I replied. "Simone, please." "No, Elijah. You took 40 years of my life. You get no more." I hung up, never to hear his voice again. 2 years later, brewing coffee in my new Atlanta condo, sunlight pouring through windows I chose myself, I got a notification: Elijah was released early for good behavior. I felt nothing, no fear, no anger, no curiosity. The man I married was a stranger now, a ghost from a past life. Last month, my art exhibition, Portraits of a Fabricated Life, opened. Each painting told my story: the naive wife, the awakening woman, the architect of her own freedom. The reviews were glowing, but each brushstroke was my therapy, each color a triumph over pain. At the opening, a kind-eyed widower, Michael, a retired literature professor, approached. "Your work is raw, full of pain, but brimming with hope," he said. We shared coffee, then dinner. "There's no pressure, just 2 souls who know life can restart at any age." Jamal called yesterday. "Dad tried reaching out," he said. "Does he want to reconnect?" I asked, knowing the answer. I told him his family was us for 40 years. He chose another. Now he lives with that. My daughter, Amara, simply blocked him. Patricia says Elijah now lives alone in a small apartment, working as a bookkeeper for a low-profile firm. Candace bars him from seeing their kids until they're old enough to decide. His life is gray, honest for the first time. But this story isn't Elijah's, it's mine, Simone's. It's about the woman who rose from a shattered life to build something real. At 64, I'm chasing the dreams of the girl I was before Elijah. Next month, I fly to Paris with my paints in a small suitcase. It's not the scholarship I gave up decades ago, but it's my choice, my money, my life. I'll rent a studio by the Seine, paint until my hands ache, and sip wine with artists who know nothing of my past. While packing, I found our wedding photo, Elijah and me, young and clueless. I didn't destroy it. I tucked it into a box labeled fiction, because that's what it was. My phone rings. It's Michael, asking if I'm ready for tango class. I'm learning tango, Italian, sculpting, wine tasting, each day a bold new step. I apply the red lipstick Elijah called too much and smile. Everything is bold now. Then came a final twist. This morning, sorting papers for Paris, I found an envelope from Agent Sterling, the investigator. "Open when you're ready," he'd said. Inside was a letter from my mother, written before her death, hidden by Elijah. "My dearest Simone," it read, "if you're reading this, you're free. I knew about Elijah's other life. I saw her once, but you were so broken after your miscarriage, so reliant on him, I feared the truth would ruin you. I was wrong to stay silent. I'm sorry. I've left you an account Elijah doesn't know about. The key is in our old hiding spot, the oak tree. I raced to my childhood home, now sold, but the new owners let me dig. Buried at the roots was a box with papers for a Swiss account, enough to fund countless dreams. My mother gave me freedom, not just financial but emotional, trusting I'd find my strength. I don't need the money now, but I'll use it for a women's shelter, art scholarships for others trapped like I was. My story began with a revelation that broke me. It ends with one that set me free. At 64, I, Simone Vance, am finally living.